Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Jacob, again, and welcome to my channel. This is day 26 of the series I've been doing for a while now on studying JavaScript. I think I'm going to keep doing this till I said 30 days before. Nah, I'm going way longer than that. I think I'm going to try and go for 100 days. It turns out, guys, it's really hard to actually learn this stuff, and so at least the way that I'm trying to learn it, uh, maybe I'm just dumb, I don't know. But I'm committed to doing it for longer because I really do want these skills so that I can do the things that I want to do. And so the last couple days I've been, mostly just reading source code and then reading documentation. I've done that for like 25 days now. But today I decided to do something different. Today, which is the 27th, it's the 26th day. I didn't record a video for the 25th day, but I got 4 hours on 25, and I got 6 hours today, and I'm pretty tired. Um, but I started writing code today. The code I was writing is purely for practice and exercises. I'm not doing anything that's very complicated, nothing that uses an actual network, obviously. I'm just trying to do things that I've seen in some of the examples that I've been studying and know that I want to wrap my head around and learn how to wield with great confidence and competence. Um, and so some of these things, just like off the top of my head, are promises. I knew that I wanted to have a deeper understanding of promises, and I'm happy to say that I have developed some of that, um, and I will continue to do that. Also, using async and await, combining it with React components as well. I haven't done it with hooks yet, but that'll be interesting. Uh, I don't know if it can work with hooks because hooks may not be async functions, but you probably can, to be honest. I just probably need to put the async word in front of the anonymous arrow function that I pass to the use effect. Um, yeah, so some of the things that I was studying today specifically was the React component. I was reviewing it again. Obviously, everything I do now is with TypeScript, which is a bit challenging at first, but definitely better, I think. Um, so, one of the things that I've learned is the difference between a pure component and a regular component, and this has to do with the lifecycle methods. At the heart of a React component is just a bunch of lifecycle methods. If you have any experience with some of these other APIs, like web APIs, like if you're trying to upload a file or if you're trying to, use a WebSocket or something, a lot of the time what you do is you attach event listeners to different things, strings really, and what it is that the code that you're calling is prepared to attach a function to that string, and that's exactly how React's lifecycle hooks work. At least this is my intuition. Um, you have a function which is basically like an interface for React. They're expecting, so if you write a function called component did update, React is looking for that, and it will call your function during the life cycle that goes through all these different hooks or different places. And so the four main things that I looked at were that I studied deeper with the life cycle for a component, a class component, is component did update, component uh, will uh, mount, I think, or component did mount, and then component will unmount, and then should component update. So just like four different things. And yeah, I can explain those a little bit more, but I was just sort of like logging them and playing with them. Some of the other stuff I looked into was I knew I wanted to get a deeper understanding of hooks. Um, so I took a look at hooks and experimented with using with the function use state, with the function use effect, and Yeah, so, and then I kind of focused. I was trying to figure out if I was going to use Redux or not, and I came to the conclusion I'm not because there's too much overhead for learning it, and it feels like there's too little payoff, as well as to explain this a little bit deeper. I think Redux has significant lock in the sense of once you start doing it that way, you kind of want to do it that way, but like there's not a reason to do it that way when you already have React's built-in state system. I mean, the components have a function called set state. Why do you need this entire huge overhead dependencies and everything and weird system outside of React to manage that state as well? I don't even know if it's going to have all the functionality and none of the limitations either. Um, and so I was pretty put off with it. I was pretty tired when I looked into it, but I mean, like, it doesn't seem worth it to me personally. Um, Especially when you can basically just take all of your state and put it at the parent component of your entire application, right? If all of the state that you want to share between the components is put there and you just forward it downstream, how nested are your components going to get? Like 7 deep or something? And even if you do get a tree that's like 7, what's the big problem with just forwarding the parent reference over and over again? And so, say you have an HTTP request on some page deeply nested, which is like, your profile page or something. It's not at the app, it's not at the landing page, it's not at the users. It's like 4 or 5, like, you know, um, levels deep in this tree. And you get there and you make the HTTP request, and the dumb thing to do is to just save it in that component and then make the HTTP request again when you come back to the profile page if you've left it. The smart thing to do is to basically cache the HTTP response for the data, which won't probably change unless it does change. Uh, but what that means is you have to store that state higher up, and you have to basically be able to discover it inside of the component or hook that's using it when you need to use it. And it's really not hard. You just basically call set state on the parent reference that you passed all the way down there, and you have a unique key for your HTTP request. Bam. Way simpler than Redux, at least from my point of view, but I've already worked on that a lot in my experience before taking this deeper dive. Okay, so the specific life cycles are component will unmount, component did mount, component did update, and then should component update. I was going to do component will receive props too, but it said that it's deprecated, so I didn't. Something else I experimented with was React.createElement. I wanted to do this because I didn't want to be too reliant on JSX. JSX you see everywhere, but really it's better to think of it as just a tree which is just a bunch of nested functions. That is literally how it works, and it's plain to see when you use it in that other way, and I want to be comfortable with both of them. But yeah, so I did that, and kind of some of the other things I worked on, importing UUID and getting it imported for TypeScript too, so that it can like auto-complete some things. And so I didn't finish all of the exercises I wanted to do today. But I did get much further in them, and I'm going to continue tomorrow. And like I said, this is just practice, and this is just exercises, and I'm just going to be refining my understanding of a lot of things. Like some of the notes I have here. Yeah, I'm probably going to try out doing some other things, like calling document.querySelector, title, body, some other things, window.add event listener, window.remove event listener. I used object assign today to do something that's just going to be super powerful. It's like, I know I'm going to use this pattern a lot. I used object.hasOwnProperty. I'll probably try and do object.defineProperty. I've tested running JavaScript code just as a script with Node. It's very easy and straightforward, although I have to be honest, I'm not sure if it will be if you have a lot of dependencies. I haven't really tried that. I'm going to try doing a whole lot of different array functions because I'm already comfortable with that conceptually, because in Python you do the same thing, but I want to memorize them in JavaScript so that I'm fast and efficient at doing them. I'm going to do some stuff with string also in a similar vein, and maybe regex. Yeah, and so I wanted to use Redux, but I just didn't. Happy to say that I did use Lodash though to do is equals for should component update. Something to know about the difference between a React component and a React pure component, which was something I was looking into, is basically related to that lifecycle method should component update or something. Basically, what a pure component does is it makes this check. It does a shallow comparison between two different objects, basically the props and the state. And if they differ, then it's going to, re-render the components under that tree. And if it doesn't, then it's not going to re-render anything, right? The difference between this and a regular component is a regular component basically re-renders every single time, no matter what. And so, honestly, you never want to use a regular component unless you're going to specify a should component update. And a lot of the time, it's going to be the boilerplate that you have that pure component is already doing. But it's good to know about it and to be able to use them. I wanted to get into use ref, but or specifically forward ref with React. They make an argument that it's pretty good for what they call HOCs, which is just a wrapper for a function, because everything in JavaScript is a function, even classes. It's not good. Honestly, I don't think it's good to think about something as a class. All you should do is think about it as an object with properties that are class-like, which is the same thing as what a function is. It's an object with properties that are function-like. A class is almost just like a type, everything is an object with properties, and that's basically how it works. So when you wrap these things, that's what you do. Wrapping a function is different than wrapping a class, because you would wrap a class constructor, or maybe, no, that's true. Yeah, when you're wrapping a class, you're literally just overriding the properties, if I remember the example that I was looking at. So anyways, lots of interesting stuff here. I'm going to try and keep going. I remember earlier in this whole series being like, on day 31, blah, blah, blah. Well, day 31 is coming up really close, and I'm not even close to being done with this whole process. JavaScript is like really deep, and I'm not satisfied with where I'm at. I am satisfied with where... Excuse me. Sorry, I'm very tired, but I'm satisfied with where I'm at, but like there's so much distance to go, right? And so this is really just the beginning. I need to actually get my chops going. I need to start writing more code again, but then I have to flip-flop back to reading code a lot, because that's what I've always learned is like, writing code is super important, but less important than reading code. You need to write code to memorize some of the tools you have so you can recall them quick enough, and you understand how things chain together and the rules and the typing system and whatnot. You just don't make errors, and when you do, it's really easy and not very time consuming to get past them. And this is something that you just get good at by writing code. Writing code is sort of like playing the instrument of JavaScript, but understanding and developing a better like model and tooling and design patterns has nothing to do really with writing code. It has to do with recognizing and reading and thinking about code. And so it really feels like writing code is sort of you do need to like you need to practice and you need to experiment and you need to develop like techniques that work for you, and most likely they work for everybody, but you need to collect those and you need to memorize them more or less so that you can recall them quickly when you need to and have confidence and clarity about how they're going to work and how you can rely on them. So I'm really trying to do it the right way this time, like where I just understand all of the things at a much higher degree, and that's where I'm gonna come from this time when I make my websites and my web apps and stuff like that. And so I welcome you to continue coming on my journey and to give me any feedback if you want. I honestly think I'm gonna try and get all the way to 100 days, and then maybe it'll be the same thing. I am pretty sure it's gonna be the same thing as today, where I was talking about 31 days just being around the corner and being like, well, I've made progress. I'm pretty happy about where I am, but there is still an ocean out there to swim into, and I feel like going into it. Maybe that'll happen with 100 days. Who knows? But anyways, thanks for watching, and take care.